right, it looks like we are live. I am live a few seconds early today, just making sure that everything is working. It's still pretty crazy times around the world, but hopefully if you're not watching this live, whenever you are watching it, things have settled down by around the world after all the COVID-19 stuff. I'm just making sure that everything is working before I get into things. Looks like it is. That's good. So good morning. This is episode 10 of the Drupal migration live stream. Initially, I predicted that it might be 8 or 9 episodes total, but we're at episode 10 and there's still a decent chunk of work to go. But the site is mostly there and most of the theming is done. It's just little sections here and there that need to get finished off. And some of those I'm going to do outside the live streams just to move things along, since you probably don't want to watch me managing CSS for hours and hours at a time. But today I have a little bit of a full agenda. And I wanted to say hi to everybody who's currently watching the stream. So I see a few people already in chat, Daniel and Oliver, who have been in a lot of these already. Hicham or Hicham. Sorry if I'm terrible with names. That's just how I am with names. I can often, I don't even keep my kids' names straight. And they get me for that. But hopefully you're all doing well. Most of the people that I know are in lockdown currently, kind of quarantining themselves and trying to get the world to a better place. And unfortunately, a side effect of that is a lot of people are also furloughed or laid off currently, and that's affected some people I know in the past couple weeks. It seems like more people kind of hit that. And I wanted to also extend an invitation to anybody who, like me, is not having an issue with their current job positions and finances and things. The Drupal Association has put out a call to action, and they're calling it Drupal Cares. Typically, the Drupal Association, which is a pretty big open source organization that manages the Drupal community's shared resources like Drupal.org and events for Drupal, and they provide some resources to help with Drupal project organization. And they are in a bit of a financial pickle right now because the DrupalCon, which is the main Drupal community event every year, is their main source of funding. And that had issues with getting canceled and moved and everything because it was supposed to be held this April. But they're in a bit of a financial shortfall. So they've asked for help to continue making the Drupal Association be a viable organization. And so I guess if you do use Drupal, if you benefit from it, consider giving back in any way, either sharing the campaign and posting about it in your social media, re-signing up as an individual in joining the Drupal Association, or if you work for a company that does benefit from Drupal, consider having them give a donation back. It looks like on this page they're also listing all of the organizations and individuals that are helping with this effort. So please consider giving back. And this episode of the Drupal migration is dedicated to trying to help this organization. And I also have mentioned in the past week or so, I've heard from some people that work with food banks. They're having a hard time right now because of the fact that people can't bring food to them physically. The amount of food on their shelves has kind of dwindled. And I know there's there's a lot of efforts to kind of get a lot of food to them sometimes, but they really need at this point some financial donations to help get food onto their shelves. So I made a donation a couple days ago, and I hope that anybody who can make a donation can do that, because there's a lot of people right now who are struggling to get food on the table, trying to file for unemployment, trying to get benefits and things, especially if they've been furloughed or laid off. So consider doing that, helping out your fellow human beings. But we'll get into some more positive and uplifting news now. If you have never seen this before, I don't know if the sound is going to come through, so I'm just going to turn up my sound on the computer. And it might sound terrible, but here's a song that will put you in a happier mood.
You've got a website, you need a system to manage your content, Drupal. If you want to build a web application, you gotta download Drupal. Drupal, 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 Drupal. Drupal,
I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but if you've never seen that video before, you can go to the repository, get the link to it, or just search for the Drupal song. It's the actual song came out before this video came out, but I don't know if you've seen it before, but this can be somewhat distressing to see this little character. I'm sure back in 2007 when it was rendered, it was amazing to be able to do that kind of thing in Blender or whatever, but the Drupal community has always been very tight-knit and had lots of fun and things. And this, I believe it was Jeff Robbins. I don't remember who exactly made this particular song originally. and he just wanted to make a fun song about Drupal, so he did that. And I think that was around the time when they still were a pretty small group, the Four Kitchens, I think it was. And anyway, since then there have been some other Drupal songs too. I know there's it's not listed in the related videos, but there's a couple other Drupal songs. Somebody did a Drupal rap song, like some sort of a rap in a Drupal agency's office. But anyway, so I just bring that up because the Drupal Association has been kind of a hub for getting people together, and helping them out will help continue on that fun, positive vibe that we have, especially after we get through all this craziness. So there's a live version. Yeah, I think they actually did it at DrupalCon. They did it live at DrupalCon on the stage before the Dries Note one year. That was like San Francisco, I think. It was the year before I went to my first DrupalCon, I think. Anyway, so let's get back into the migration. The next thing that I was going to do is right now I have the homepage is pretty barren, and we'll get to that. And we set up the blog, but I just wanted to do another view migration just to kind of nail that down, and also reiterate how I do that when I'm doing a Drupal 8 migration. The blog listing is pretty good now. Comments are working. So if I go to one of these blog posts with comments on it, the comments, this is that Ansible 101. So the comments are rendering fine. So we got the blogs pretty much finished. And one of the other main sections on my current site, if I go to jeffgeerling.com, is the projects listing. So there's a listing on the home page that linked from all the pages on the site in the main menu that just has all the projects listed. And then there's also a block on the home page called recent projects. So I figure we can move that across. I'm going to go to views, add view, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with the blog view. And structure, views, projects. So I'm basically going to recreate this view in Drupal 8 the same way I had it in Drupal 7. So this will be named projects. Show content of type project, newest first. And there's a page, a feed, and a block. So I'll do the same thing. Page, include an RSS feed, create a menu link, main menu called projects, and the path will be projects. It'll be display an unformatted list of teasers, which is here. 10, it's doing 7 items. So I'll do 7, use a pager. So it's using a pager. Let's see, main menu projects, feed path, what's that? The feed path is projects.xml, that's fine. Feed row style is content, that's the same. And there's a block as well, so I'll add the block, which is called recent projects. Recent projects, and it's an HTML list of fields. And then items per block is 5, and no pager. All right, so I'll save that. Got most of the settings there that are from the projects view, feed, and block, or the page feed and block on Drupal 7. And we'll finish off some of the other settings by diving into the view once it's created. All right, so the page is an unformatted list of teasers. Published, yes, content equals project, content authored on. So I think it looks like the sort criteria I have on Drupal 7 is not the created on date, it's the completion date, which is a date field. So I'm going to find that completion date. apply that, and then sort descending and apply. And then I'm going to remove the authored on from here. All right, and then the path is projects, menu is, I'm adding the menu link here. In Drupal 7, I actually manage the menu by hand. In Drupal 8, I'm going to let the view create the menu link. Permission, view content, header, footer, pager. Usually it's the best practice to add no results behavior and have like a little block of text that shows up like saying no projects found if there's no results. So I'm actually going to do that here. I didn't do that in Drupal 7 just because I didn't think about it back then, because if you have content, it's not a big deal. But one issue is that since I'm doing a migration, every time I reinstall the site, there won't be any content. So I want to have something here when there's no content on the site that still shows, just to show like, oh, the block is still appearing on the front page. So I'm going to add a text area and say, if there's no content, I want it to say no projects found, something like that. And it's marked down, so let's do it in italics. Apply. And there are projects, so if I scroll down, you'll see that there's a listing here. That's just a preview of what things will look like with the teasers. So I have that. Pager is a full pager, not a mini pager. So I'll switch that. Paged output, full pager. Let's see what the settings are for this pager. So number of pager links visible is 9. I don't think we need to do 9. We'll do 3 like the other, like the blog listing has. And it's first, previous, next. I'm going to do it the same as Drupal 7. Whoops. First, previous, next. And again, I'm just doing this because I'm not trying to change too much in my Drupal 7 to 8 migration. I'm just trying to do a one-to-one migration. Apply that. All right, and there's a more link. No, nothing changed over in advanced. Yeah, there's nothing different here. It's funny that this has machine name page 1. I don't know why it's page 1. It should just be page because there's no other page on this view. That's weird that it added a page 1 there. Anyway, we'll go to the feed and make sure it's all right. I think that was all set the same. Content, use default settings, published, type project highlight on. So it's interesting for the feed I only show highlighted projects. I don't really want to do that. I want to show all the ones in the feed, because if you're subscribed to the feed, which there's probably one person on the planet, then might as well show them all. So completion date descending. Daniel says if he does have time off of his work, then he would be able to do all the Acquia exams. It's funny you bring that up. I ended up doing almost all of the Acquia certification exams, and I think on one of them I scored close to not passing, but it seems like if you build sites day to day, you probably won't have too much of a problem with most of them. But there are a couple, like the front end one I think that's the one that I did the worst on. There's a lot of little things in there that it's assuming that you do a certain process for your site builds, that if you don't do that, you're going to fail parts of that exam. But anyway, Oliver says he's the person subscribed to that feed, the projects feed. So you'll get more content for free after we do this migration. So the pager says 10 items. It's funny, there shouldn't be a pager on a feed because it's a feed, not a paged view, but whatever. It's not linked to anything. All right, so I think that's good. Now let's edit the block. The block is the one that has the most changes just because it has, I might have a couple little customizations in here. So the format is different, title's different. Field is the title. Published, yes. Type project, highlight on. So I'm going to add that. So first I'm going to this block only highlight. It's a field project highlight. I don't know why there's two things, highlights and highlight. And highlight equals true or on. Don't want it exposed. Apply to this display. Okay, and then completion date is the sort. Block name is projects. We'll change that. Apply. Access is permission, view published content. Allow settings, items per page. I guess that lets you, when you're adding the block to your site, you can set how many items it shows per page. So display 5 items. More link, yes. We do want a more link that links to the page. And I'm getting always display the more link. And the more links text is, what does it say here? All projects. So I'm going to add that here. Apply. And any other settings? No. Okay. Link display. I don't know what link display is. It's not in Drupal 7. Which display to use for path? I would imagine that's page, but I'm not gonna. I'll just do that. I don't know what's different about that, and I guess that's for the more link. It chooses what thing to link to. It wasn't in Drupal 7. It's funny though, you'd think it should be in Drupal 7. That seems like it'd be a missing feature. Anyways, let's see the advanced settings. This is also called block 1. I don't know why that is. It's not a big deal. This only really makes a difference if you're targeting it with some PHP code, which I'm probably not going to do for these views, but I think I have all the settings here. And this is how that's going to look. And if I look at here, then these are the same recent projects, and then a list of HTML titles, an HTML list of titles. So that's looking good. I'm going to save this view, and there's security updates available for Drupal. I think that's I think it's the CK editor module, which I don't actually use on my site anymore. I just never disabled it. So if you want to hack my site, you're probably going to have a hard time with it because it's something that is not even in use. All right, so projects is saved. Let me go now to the structure block layout page because I want to get my home page to have this block on the right sidebar, which is right here. And this is the home page right now. It looks like the project's main menu link is there. So let's quickly glance at that and see how it looks. I might need to make some tweaks. Yeah, so the thumbnails are displaying stacked and they need to be inline. So there's probably a few styles that I need to apply in the CSS for that. So I'm going to go to the block layout, and I'm going to add this block that I just created to the right sidebar, or sidebar second, I guess it would be. And let's see what happens. I don't even know if the sidebars are laid out on this theme yet. So where is projects? Projects, place block. And it's called recent projects 5. I'll use the title from the block. Pages, and this is front. So Drupal has a special designation for the front page when you're targeting using this little field. I don't know what this field is called, like the page limitation block field or something. Anyway, front inside of the brackets means target the front page. So I'm going to save that. And ideally, this is just going to work. Did I have to save this too? I guess I have to save this page too. There's some usability studying done on this blocks form, and I know some improvements were made, but I still am never sure. Like, I just added a block here, but then I don't know if I have to also click save block there, but we'll see. So I'll go here. Oh, that's the home page, or that's the projects page. I need to go to the home page, and we'll see if that block appears. So the block is here. And I think the problem is I don't have any content in the main section of this page, and that's why it's showing up like this. So region sidebar second, layout sidebar second. So there's layout content, and that is here. And then there's sidebar second is appearing after it, which is good for mobile, because if I'm on a narrow screen like this, then I want this to appear after the content. But if I'm on a desktop, I want this to appear on the right. So I'm going to see is there a class on the body that says like sidebar. No, there isn't. So I'm going to need to figure out a way to say if there's a secondary, like if there's a sidebar, I want it to appear over here and the main content to appear left of it. But if there is no sidebar, I want layout content to be full width. So that's going to be, I might have to do some theming for that, and I don't want to get into that too much right now. But the main thing is that I have this projects block displayed, and I need to also put the recent blog post block on the home page. So I'm going to do that first. Then I'm going to get the CSS for those. Since I have CSS for them on Drupal 7, I'll get that migrated over to Drupal 8, and then I'll get that fixed. So let's see. I'm going to go back to block layout. Actually, I was on block layout here, so I'll close this. Sidebar second, place block, recent blog posts. And this should be recent blog posts. We'll change that in the view. And there are 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'll put this on front page. And I'll make this page wider so that this lays out different. Okay, so that's just going to be on the front page. Save block. And let's see. So I didn't hit save here, but this is in green, which seems to indicate that, like up here it says the block configuration has been saved. But I don't know if that means this whole thing is saved or if I need to click this button. I'm going to just test and see if that's the case. I'm going to go to the home page and see if it shows up. So it already is here. So technically, I guess you don't have to, if this is highlighted in green, you don't have to click Save Blocks again. But I do want to put this under projects, so I'm going to do that and click Save. Because again, I'm not changing anything. At some point, I might do that. I might change the layout of the home page a little bit because this is not super impressive to me. But it links off to some of the good things. But I do want people to see like, oh, I have a YouTube channel and these new YouTube videos and things, and they don't see that right now. So those are saved, the order there. Go back here. Daniel says JavaScript gives me a bad reaction. Specifically, React does. Yeah, I went back and forth on doing some more JavaScript development stuff, and I just never got too much into it. So anyway, this block is showing up now, and it looks similar, but I need to change. I forgot to add the more link for the blog post block, and it says recent blog post, so that's good. So I need to edit that before I move forward too far. And I'm gonna close this page, and I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that these are the same between the two. So blog, edit the block here, block, more link. Of course, the computer sometimes struggles here. It's a good, yeah, Mohammed mentions for the 10K goal. I posted on Twitter, I think it was, that I had a goal this year. It's just a small goal of trying to get my YouTube channel to get to 5,000 subscribers. So lo and behold, after 2 weeks of these 2 weeks of the Ansible live streams, the Drupal one gave me a little boost, but the Ansible live stream that I do on Wednesdays, which if you're interested is tomorrow at 10 a.m., same time, same place, but tomorrow. After I started doing that, I got like 2,500 subscribers in the past couple weeks, and now I'm up to 7,000. So now I'm thinking maybe I set my goal a little too low. And my new goal for subscribers is 10,000. So if you like these videos, go ahead and click right below me. I think, there we go. Right below me, there's a subscribe button, and you'll be able to get these videos whenever I make them. I'm also doing some other things, like I have some time-lapse videos that I've been doing of projects around the house. So I'm somewhat fortunate. Before this whole thing started, I got a bunch of supplies for a couple projects I was going to work on, and so I had them sitting in the basement. And now that we're locked down all the time, I have more time in the evenings since I'm not going out running errands or playing hockey or watching sports or doing any of that kind of stuff. I am doing a lot of home projects, and I'm posting some of those on my YouTube channel too. So, and Oliver says, same time, same channel. Yes. So anyway, let's fix this more link. It doesn't have one yet, and we need one. Oh, this is the page. I want to do the block. All right, more link. It does have a more link, yes. Should have always display all blog posts. So that's there. I don't know why it's not showing up. Link display. Oh, because it's not linked to anything. So this is a new thing in Drupal 8 that is important to consider. It's not in Drupal 7. There's no like more link display thing. There is a thing over here. It's link display page. That's funny because it's not selected here, but it does say page. So I guess in Drupal 7, this was over here in the advanced area, which is collapsed by default. So people probably never saw that it was there. And so I'm guessing in Drupal 8 for usability, it was moved into this area. But I think it would be nice if that still defaulted to page, because as you could see, longtime Drupal user creating a new view, I didn't notice that was missing. So I'm guessing other people would not notice that that's not set either. Maybe not. I mean, I didn't do usability study on it, but maybe the people who did said that they shouldn't have a default. But now if I go back to the home page, I believe that I'll see all blog posts here. So we have these two things here. I'm going to check in Drupal 7 what class is on these blocks so I can check the CSS and get that working at least. If I go web, I need to move this up so you can actually see it. Web themes, Jeff Geerling, CSS, front probably. Yeah, so this is, I used a lot of IDs. You probably shouldn't do this. This is totally the wrong way to theme, but it works. So that's what I did. So if I go to recent projects, I'm guessing that has block views projects block. So let's see what it is in Drupal 8. Recent projects, inspect. And this is called, so instead of being an ID, now it does have an ID. Block views, block, projects, block. That's a lot of blocks. So it's block views, block, projects, block instead of block views, projects, block. And it's funny here, the class for it is block views, block projects, block. So whatever, I'll just keep using the ID. It's generally better to use classes to allow for easier overrides, but I'm just going to do it this way. And I'm guessing that that's block, blog, block, but let me double check. This is block, blog, block 1. Okay. Wait, what is it? Block views, block, blog, block 1. And this is why themers who do Drupal stuff usually override everything and make their own classes and things. I don't do that just because I'm lazy and don't want to take the time to make it all pretty and semantic and stuff. And Oliver and Daniel are talking about Drupal podcast or something. That sounds like something that'd be fun to listen to. I mean, it's one of those things where for me, if I get more time on my hands, I'll just start doing weird, crazy things and see what sticks. I decided to do that Ansible live stream on a whim, and it's been pretty popular and fun to do, so I'm going to keep doing it. Someday I'll also get a new computer so that it won't die while I'm building 3 VMs at the same time as I'm live streaming. And if you want to help in that effort, I don't think there's links below me. There should be, but you can look me up on GitHub sponsors or on Patreon and send some money my way. But like I said, there are other organizations that are much more in need right now, like the Drupal Association, your local food pantry, any friends that might need help right now. So anyway, so I got those two. That's BlockViews blog, or BlockViews projects block, whatever this is. So I'm going to edit that, edit that, edit that, and edit that. And edit this. I probably should just do find and replace, which would be quicker. So I'll just do that. So I'm going to take this and replace it. Replace all. Okay. And then I'm going to fix the blog block 2. So that is this one. Replace that with the new block ID. And then block 1 is not existing yet. We'll figure that out soon. Hold on. So those two, portrait, I guess that's inside the block that's not displaying right now. So I don't know if I have the front.css file loading on the front page. Let me check if I have that in my theme. front. So I have preprocessed HTML that overrides the page title, and I have this, which should be attaching the front CSS. Let's see if it's in here. Whoops. Open up the inspector and find front.css. So it is loading. Maybe I have to flush caches. I'll try that really quick. That always takes an extra 10 or 20 seconds. Mohammed asks, are you using OBS for streaming? And yes, I am. And I've been experimenting with OBS a little bit. Basically, I have it set up with, where is the video settings? I'm looking on my other monitor. It's set at 20 frames per second. I could go down to 10 frames per second, but you know, that didn't make as much of a difference. I might do some more testing with that on the next stream. But I do 20 frames per second, 1920 by 1080, and I have a 4K monitor, but I downsample it using, what is this? Let me see what app I use for that. It's called SwitchResX. I downsample it to 1080p instead of 4K. So I'm looking at a kind of pixelated monitor right now. But that helped a bit with the speed, and also the output that I have, the encoder preset is ultra fast, which is the lowest quality, but easiest to compress for the computer. And you can see sometimes my head down here when I move it around, probably not right now because I'm talking about it, but sometimes it gets a little pixelated because the encoder is kind of doing its best work, but as fast as it can. This is interesting. This block seems to not be taking the styles that I just gave it. So, oh, you know what? I don't have a .front class, I don't think. Let me see. That is probably the issue. So on the front page in Drupal 7, at least with the base theme I was using, the body would get a class called front, and it is not getting that. So I don't think I need that front because these blocks only appear on the front page. So it's kind of useless to have that. I'm going to go ahead and search, do a find and replace for that, and replace it with nothing. But let me check if there's any instances that are not. Okay, replace all, save that, and refresh. Let's see if that works. And now OBS is taking over my screen. I need to get back to my chat. 22 frames with how many VMs? Yeah, the last session I did, oh, this is totally wrong. Something's wrong with the, oh, I didn't do dark mode. That's the problem. Yeah, sharing part of the screen can help too. I mean, anything to reduce the resolution that it's outputting and the compositing that it does. I actually was asking in a Hacker News thread about the compositing on OBS and how it works with the GPU on Mac. On PCs, if you have a dedicated video card that's supported, it can use that video card for the compression and all that, and the CPU is not as overloaded. But on the Mac, I think that the list of supported video cards is very small, and you might need like a Mac Pro or something. Another thing that I am considering is getting a faster Mac in general, because this is a 2016 non-touch bar MacBook Pro, which is a little bit slower. But anyway, the compositing part where it puts all the layers on top of each other and puts like the camera that you see right here with me, that part is all done on the GPU, and then it uses the CPU to do the compression on the Mac at least on this Mac, for the final stream up to YouTube. And it usually, so it keeps up pretty well, but it just uses enough of the CPU that it doesn't have enough left over for Docker to be doing its stuff in here. But I'm looking, oh, here it is. I need to change these 3 classes to these 3. So I'm going to take this out. All right. Let's see if that does it. I believe that's the only section in here that has those. Let me switch back over. And that didn't help at all. The funny thing is it threw this on the sidebar here, because I guess I had, what do I have here? Do I have a float or something? Float right, so I do have that. And for some reason this views, That's weird. So why did I not do the change here? This should be this, and these should all be changed to that. Replace all. Okay. I think I'm confusing myself here. These should be... Oh, you know what? Dark mode is probably in the markup above the front CSS. Let me check if that's the case. Yeah, dark mode is above front, so dark mode is not applying. I want dark mode to be the bottom of the CSS. I wonder if there's a weight that I can use with libraries, because this is a problem that I'm going to run into all over the place. Where is dark mode? I wonder if I set that in here. Global styling, libraries, global styling. So this is kind of annoying. What I want to do is have dark mode be at the bottom. I wonder if there's a way to set weight. Drupal 8 theme libraries weight. Let's see if I can do that. Let's see. Weight. All right, so there is a weight. Defining libraries. Let's see. So CSS theme type weight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this out into dark mode version 1.x CSS theme CSS dark mode.css. So I'm going to take it out of the global styling, and can I set in here? So this is that, but can I set a weight? Properties are added following each file. Okay, so it's in here. So this would be what? Weight. 50. Let's try that. And then I need to change this to say add dark mode. Is that it? Dark dash mode, yep. Okay, so let's see if that helps. I'll flush caches again. And I'll look over at the chat while it's doing the flush caches. Close that out. Okay. And let's see. Always working on stuff. Yeah, there's plenty to talk about in the Drupal community. And there's definitely a little bit of an audience. Apparently there's 17 people viewing right now. If you, why don't you put in the chat really quick where you are? That's always interesting to see. I know last week I saw in the Ansible chat there were people from all over the world. There was a good representation from India, a couple people in the Midwest US, a couple people on the East Coast, and a few people from Europe. But it'd be interesting to see where the people on this Drupal chat are located, especially because the time zones cause it to be a little bit late for some people. But anyway, it looks like this did add the right styles here, but they're floating next to each other. And what I want is for this content to be above these two. I'm probably going to work on that in a follow-up between sessions, because I might need to make some more major theme changes to get that to work. To make sure that this content is in an actual sidebar and not like this with content pushing it down from above. But it does look like that worked to get the dark mode to be below. I think that helped. Putting dark mode weight here should have put it under everything else. If I go to style sheets, there's a lot of style sheets. Yeah, so dark mode is now under front.css because I had heavier weight to it. That's something that is helpful to know. And in Drupal 7, it was all different, the way that you added weights to theme assets and libraries and things, but it's pretty easy in Drupal 8. I could also, in the documentation, it was mentioning this notation. You could do the same thing there. The thing about YAML is JSON, so this is valid JSON. But in YAML, you can also do the easier object notation where you just put the value underneath on a new indent. So I'll do that because it's a little simpler. And this just means it's an object with nothing in it. There's no keys or values in it. Anyway, so that works. Got that working. The front page now has some of the content. The last thing is there is a block. I'll take a glance at this and see if it's quick and easy. There's a block in Drupal 7. We didn't actually do the theming for that. I'll do that later. There's a block in Drupal 7. Let me see. This is a block right here. And the block's name is block ID 1, I guess. And the description is what I do. And that block just has some markup in it. And I thought that it migrated that block, but maybe it doesn't migrate block content. That's in, what region are we in? That would be in content. So I'm going to place block. And what would it be called? What I do. So it's a custom block. So it migrated this block, and I thought I tried to add this before, and it didn't have any content, and it was like empty. So I'm going to do that on the front page and see what happens here. I wonder if custom blocks are not migrated fully from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8. We'll see what it does. Looks like UK, India, 11:30 a.m. would be, that'd be somewhere on the East Coast US or maybe South America. Time zone appropriate greeting. So good night, good evening, good morning, good early afternoon, whatever time it is. And as I always forget, when I say something on the stream, it actually takes like 45 to 50 seconds before it shows up in the video that's on the stream. So if I ever try to do anything interactive, it's always a little awkward because it's kind of like a really long version of phone tag. So that block is in there. And let's go to the home page and see if it actually shows anything. Because I think I tried this a few weeks ago. Oh, it does have that. And there's even the picture that doesn't really load. So that's actually good. What is this block's? I need to make sure that the block 1 is updated to whatever this block is. Block what I do, it now is. That's actually a little more semantic, so that's nice. So I'm going to find block 1 and replace it in here, save that, and also in dark mode. Replace it. Okay, and refresh, and let's see what it shows. I might actually have this all floating correctly just using the CSS that I had. I might not need to use a page layout. Yeah, there it is. Except for the dark mode is not really working that well. So let's see, block what I do. So I have that. Why is that not showing up here? Block what I do. And it has a background color. It's not getting the dark mode CSS. I wonder if I have to flush caches again for that. That would be really annoying. No, there it is. And I don't want a title here. So I don't have the, I guess there's a module that shows a little hover over edit block thing. It's useful to have when you're setting up your site, but once that's done, it's not as important. I'm going to configure this. So this is nice. I didn't actually have to change the layout of my site at all. Apparently I was lazy back in Drupal 7 times 2. So I don't want to display the title. Save that block. And let's see what it does. Now, before anything else, I actually need to export the configuration because I've been making all these changes to block layout. I added that projects view and listing. I edited the blog view. So I should fix that up. So that's good. Let's see. Let's compare this to Jeff Geerling right here. Things look very similar. Looks like the actual text rendering is very slightly different, and I don't know what that is. I'm guessing it's something with, I think the font is the same, but it seems like this has just a tad bit more I don't know, saturation, or it's not bold, but it does look like it's a tiny bit lighter colored or something. Oh, maybe it's just the fact that I haven't clicked on a link. Let's try that. Because I have a slightly darker link style. Yeah, there you go. So on the old side, I've clicked on all these links before. So on localhost, it's showing that I haven't visited them. So anyway, it looks like this is looking good. I don't know where this picture's coming from. I don't know why it's not showing up here, but I'll have to figure that out. It should be migrated across, but maybe it was just hand copied. It's not in here. For blocks, since in Drupal 7 there was no way to add fields to blocks, you had to like manually copy an image into place and then use it in a block if you wanted to make a custom block with an image. In Drupal 8, you can actually put fields on blocks, so you can have an image field attached to a block and have the image uploaded to that block in particular. For now, what I'll probably do is just hand copy this picture over to the Drupal 8 site files directory, and that'll be that. But that looks like that's working, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm surprised. I wasn't expecting to finish the front page today, but I just did. So I'm going to check that button, and we can close out this issue. What I'm going to do, though, I've done a no-no and done like multiple things in the same thing without committing anything. So I'm going to grab the configuration changes using drush config export. Grab this command, and I mentioned this in a previous video. I have a verbose command here that does docker compose exec drupal bash-c. Some people are saying, oh, if you use Doxel or ddev or whatever, Lando or one of the other utilities, they have a command you can just do like ddev drush config or whatever. And I could do that with this too. It's just a bash alias that wraps this part. But I just have chosen not to do that, to be explicit, because whenever I'm doing anything training or showing someone what I'm doing, I like to be explicit about what's going on. And what's going on is this drush command is being run through docker compose exec on the Drupal container using bash. So anyway, that is why I'm doing that. Please don't complain about the fact that I am being overly verbose here. So what it did was it created a block for what I do. It keeps throwing this block in there, and I have no idea why. It's not even in the UI anywhere. It also added the blog block and the projects block on the home page, and I added the projects view and I edited the blog view. So this is all good, except for I don't want this. So I'm going to say git status, and I'm going to delete 7 system main rm-f that. Okay, git add-a. Make sure everything's in there. Git commit -m fixes. Whoops, that's not the right page. Fixes number 44. Most of number 45, because I didn't do the styling for 45, but I'll do that later. And homepage and projects listing layouts, something like that. I'll push that up. And again, since I have the CI process running on here, I'll get an email kicked back to me if there's a failure due to any of the changes that I just made. Technically, it's better to create a PR, make sure the PR passes, and then merge it. But like I said, I'm a little bit lazy since it's my personal project, and I can fix those kind of things a little easier without damaging other people's local environments if you're working on a team project. This one's not completely finished, but I did get the home page migrated. Well, I'm going to reopen this. I actually, when I was working on writing up this issue, I was talking with Matthew Turland, who I know from some PHP stuff I've done way back in the day. And we were talking about the best way to get a front page that shows people what I want them to see. Right now, this kind of links to, what does it even link to? It links to Google for Geerling Guy, which is not the most wonderful thing. Somebody else could have a page that pops up on there. It does link to some of the open source communities I work with, but those are not exclusive. Like I do some other stuff too. So I don't know if I want to highlight this right away. GitHub profile's nice, I guess, but it's not like a thing that is a call to action that I'd want somebody, if somebody was interested in following the things that I do, that's probably not the best place to link to. So I might revamp this page. When I initially built this version of the site back in 2013, 15, something like that, 12. It was after I migrated to Drupal 7, I redid the theme. I was focused more on like a resume style site. And so if you go to the about page, it's basically a resume. And I don't think that that's necessary nowadays. So I'll probably end up reworking this. The main reason I did this was because around that time I was applying to a couple jobs and things, and I was like, oh, it'd be so easy to make a real resume. And instead of having to like reformat my resume all the time, I could just have it online. And I even made a print style sheet that makes this print out like a real resume. But as you can see, it's 6 pages long, so it's not a great resume anyways. So anyway, I'll probably end up changing that at some point. But for now, as I've said many times in this series, I'm just doing a one-to-one migration. Let's see. So Hicom, or I'm sorry about your name, says love verbose. And yeah, that's the thing, is some people are like, oh, it's so much easier to do this and that. And it's like, yes, it's easier, but that's only after you've learned how to do the thing that you're doing. When you're learning something, it's better to, it's also the reason why I still use git commands for almost everything. I have some shortcuts, like there's a lot of times when I'll make some changes and I want to add them all, and I have a shortcut GCAM, and then I put in a message. That stands for git commit -a-m, and that adds all the changes in the working directory and adds a message to the commit. So I have a lot of shortcuts like that for myself, but I still know how to do all the basics because the shortcut is GCAM, which is similar to that. Anyway, a lot of people will do shortcuts that kind of mask over exactly what they're doing, and then you can lose touch with what's actually happening in the background. H. So H, it's a lot easier to pronounce it if it's just H. So hello H, thank you for being on the stream. Let's see. So homepage, I reopened that issue. I'm going to get back to that later. I might leave this open for after the migration's over even, or I might break this out into a new issue, because technically I have migrated the homepage, and the new stuff would be a change to the homepage. So I did that. Projects view, I'll just glance really quick if there's any quick wins here. If there's a, what is it? Is there a project CSS? Yeah, project.css. So there's project page stuff, and then there's field. So this is what's happening here. There's inspect. It's trying to find node-project as a class to wrap the node, and that might not be the class that's here. So if I go to, it's node-node type project, or node-type project, sorry. So it's this. So I'm going to find .node project and replace it with that. Oops. I'm actually going to search this in this entire folder. So find in folder. Replace all occurrences. So there's that in dark mode. And then field name, field project images is here. So that is field --name. So this is a little different. So I'm going to find that. And what is this? Whoops. That is that. And then I'm replacing this. Replace all. Okay. There wasn't anything in dark mode for that. And then field item is now Shift Command F. Field item becomes field __ item. I think that's like a Sass, or not. That's not Sass. That's, what is it? Forget the design system that uses the double underscore to separate like levels of things. But anyway, that is now that. Replace, save, and then field project highlights. Actually, what I did in Drupal 7, because that was one of the things in the migration that was having a trouble, is that there was a special field with like I forget what the name of the module was. It allows you to have multiple displayed fields in a list, if you have a text field with multiple items. And there was the Drupal 8 module for it was kind of not great, and so I just gave up on that and copied the markup out and pasted it into the nodes. BEM, the BEM, I forget what that stands for. BEM is the design system that uses those double underscores. And I actually worked on a couple projects that used BEM, and it makes a lot of sense when you use it from the top to the bottom for everything. However, the problem is in Drupal, it's used in most places, but not all places, and some things have dashes and some have underscores, so it gets a little messy if you use all the default markup. And again, that's why a lot of themers will actually use, they'll override all of Drupal's markup completely to make it fit with their design system better. So since I copied and pasted that, this is going to be the same inside of a node. If I go in here, I don't have highlights in that one. If I go to Ansible for Kubernetes, there's this section with highlights in it. If it ever loads down here, and it should have that, if it ever loads, it should have field name, field project highlights, because I just copied and pasted that markup into the body field, which is, again, a no-no. I know Jeff Eaton is always against, has traditionally always been against throwing everything into the body field, but, sue me. Don't sue me, actually. This would be a really bad time to sue me. So please don't sue me, but still, follow his advice, I guess. Don't throw stuff into body fields. So that's there. Field project link. So this is going to be different too. This is the link down here. Inspect. I'm guessing that we'll run out of time as I finish this up. So this is field -- name field project link. So I'm going to replace that here. Replace this with that. Replace all. Okay. Did that replace everything? Yeah, okay. And then field label is also field __ label. So let's replace those. And that is field __ replace. Replace, there was only one occurrence. Okay. Let's see if that works. Refresh. That didn't seem to make a difference. Let me see if the projects page is different. Maybe you know what? I don't think I have the project CSS applying to the page, which needs to be in here. Yeah, so I need what do I need here? I need to add, I need to add a case for project, and it is going to be project. Whoops. Project, save that, and then I need to add it to my libraries, and it's going to be project.css. Save that, save that. All right, and then I also need to add it to the view. I need to add the CSS to the project view, and I had it with using arg. So in Drupal 7, one really dumb hack that a lot of us used to throw stuff onto pages would be, we'd use the arg function, which gets an argument from the page. So on this page, there's the first argument is projects, and if you had like projects/101, this would be the second argument. And so, and this more comes from like Drupal 5, Drupal 6 days, but a lot of people did it in Drupal 7, like me, because we were lazy and we didn't want to learn any new ways to find ways to attach CSS to certain sections of the site. So as long as everything was inside of the project sections, like project/list or project/fun/list or whatever, as long as everything was in there, if you said, if the first argument was projects, add the CSS, that would work. However, in Drupal 8, I think the argument function is completely gone, and you can't use it at all. So you have to use other methods of finding what section of the site you're on. So one way is saying like, I'm on a view called projects, or the route is matching that view or something like that. So for comment replies, there's a route name for comment.reply, and I attached the blog CSS to that too. That's when you go to a comment or go to a blog comment. So if I go here and find, come on, if I go to a blog post and I click on add new comment down here, that takes me to a page. It's comment/reply/node/node ID, all that kind of stuff. This route is set up as comment.reply in the comment module. And I think I found that by just taking this URL and finding where that came from in Drupal. And then I found out that it came from the route comment.reply. And then I attached the library. So that's a little convoluted. There's probably a way, maybe in the theming, that shows what route this is on. And so you could find it that way. Maybe not. It doesn't look like there is something that says like what route you're on. So that's something that would be nice to figure out at some point, how to quickly find out the context of your page. Because I want to say, like, if I'm on the project's view, add this CSS, and there's probably a way to do that. And I'll find that between this episode and next episode, and I'll commit the fix that adds that. But we have added the project CSS to blog posts, or to project posts. So hopefully that shows up here now. If I refresh this, I might have to flush caches, and then we'll call it a day after that. Waiting for it to refresh though. But we did get through most things in the agenda today. There was a projects view migration. I'll call that pretty much finished. Next week, we're going to make sure that redirects are migrated, because right now there's a lot of pages on the site, or there's a lot of old content on the site that came from other sites' migrations, or that I changed the URL structure over the years, and I have a lot of old URLs that are pointing to new things. It does look like that CSS applied, so that's good. And I want to make sure that all the redirects are migrated, because as a good citizen of the web, I hate it when links die. It's called link rot, where you link to something and then 5 or 10 years later, that link either just goes to nothing, or it goes to a 403 or a 404, and you basically lose parts of the internet that way. I've been a stickler for making sure redirections are always migrated, and if you change URL structures, you always migrate those things. So we'll work on that next week and get that stuff migrated. Between now and then, I'll probably finish up some of the project CSS, make sure things are looking good here, and maybe finish off a couple other little bits of CSS that I've left off the site. You noticed on blog posts there was a section that was empty, like an empty box down there. I'm gonna make sure that's gone as well. So thank you again for watching today's episode. It's always fun to do this together. It's a lot more fun doing it together with people on the live stream, even though the computer is ready to die, than to sit there doing it alone, especially during these crazy times where we're all stuck inside. But if you like what you're seeing, again, click subscribe below. It is amazing, the response I've gotten. I'm very happy with it, and I hope to have more good content in the future. And I've been thinking about other projects that we could work on live streams in the future too when this is over, because I'm finally starting to see the finish line, and trying to make plans for that last episode when we do the final migration and move the DNS for the old site to the new site. That'll be exciting. Hopefully episode 12, 13, 14, something like that. But please subscribe if you like it. I'll be doing another live stream tomorrow for Ansible. If you're interested in infrastructure automation, you can follow me on Twitter and also consider supporting me on GitHub or on Patreon or elsewhere. But like I said at the beginning of this thing, please consider supporting the Drupal Association, especially if you benefit from Drupal in any way. They are a good chunk of the reason why Drupal has been able to make it through the big transition that was Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, helping get the Drupal community together. It's not without its flaws, the Drupal Association. There's issues with any group of people anywhere, but it's been an overall net benefit for Drupal and open source projects in particular. And it's been an interesting experiment for many years now of how open source funding and projects can continue on like Drupal has, and it's pretty much thrived for years and years now. Anyway, there's that, and also consider supporting your local food pantries, since a lot of them may be running low on food and personnel who can distribute that food right now. It definitely helps a lot. I will see you next week, and as usual, I will try to find where the end stream button is. There it is, and we'll see when the stream actually ends, because you click the button and it could be like a minute, could be 30 seconds, I don't know.